Welcome back. It's still the newspaper review. We've taken a look at some of the stories making the headlines in front page of the Punch newspaper. But currently, we are being joined by Obinna Okafor. He's a public affairs analyst and a public commentator. Good morning, Mr. Obinna, and welcome to the newspaper review.
Thank you very much. Good morning for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Listening, thank you as well.
Okay, now let's delve into the business of the day. Mr. Obinna, we're talking about inclusive governance today. But before we go in depth into that discourse, let's talk about the political parties currently in Nigeria that most electorates are looking at, and the issue about zoning in the political parties. And from your own analysis, where do you think the pendulum will swing?
In Nigeria, the language or the term or the statement have always been the issue of fairness, equity, and fair play. If you ask me, I think that should be, out of the 6 political zones, there are 2 zones that have not produced the president, and one has not produced either the vice or the president itself. So that is the Southeast. I should think that now that the power is just leaving the north, going down to the south, the ideal place and the most equitable place it should go to is the southeast. So if we want fairness and equitability in the country, I think that the major political parties should be able to zone their presidency down to the southeast.
Okay, now before we delve into the main issue about the southeast or Igbo presidency, let's look at parties like the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Let's look at the party like the All Progressive Congress. We can look at the Social Democratic Party itself and the ANPP or the NNPP. Look at the way these parties are structured, and with the way forms for their political parties, primaries for the standard bearer of the party for the president, for the presidency is out at the moment. And with the way things are going, where do you think that the issue about zoning will hold sway in these political parties, or it will be politics as usual?
From the time the country come back to got back to civil rule, it started with the zoning arrangement. The major political parties zoned their presidency to the south, and that was to the southwest. Both PDP and the AC then. I think that was not AC, that was what was the party get now before it became APC.
Yes. Then
they threw their party, their presidential ticket to the southwest. Against Obasanjo.
Yes.
And that was it. Even though they were other contestants, but it was an unwritten agreement that power should go to that place. So that has also happen. Even if PDP has it in their constitution about power rotation, swinging between South and the North. So I think that's, and also the APC seems to follow that pattern too. Like what has just happened in the appointment of their, what do you call it now, the appointment of their national leaders.
Yes.
You have the chairman going to the north.
Yeah.
Wherever the president should come from the south. But now the question is, should it be the southeast or southwest? A lot of arguments have been made as to whether the southeast has paid its due or the southwest. But if I look at it from the fair point of view, southwest just produced a president and now a vice president. Then in the south also have provided a president and a vice president. The only zone that is yet to produce either vice president or the president in the southeast. So the everything that should be done, it should be to the southeast.
Okay, but
not necessarily because I'm a good man, but I think if we want to talk about fairness, equity, and fair play, that is what it should be. And I also know that it has a long way to go to down the tension, agitation happening in the southeast. It will be a long way to stop it because people are agitating because they feel you sideline them. And major ethnic group like Igbo, people to be part of the country, the Igbos dominate there apart from the indigenous the people in that place.
Mr. Obinna.
Sideline them. So if they that position of providing, giving them the position, the opportunity to produce the president, from the southeast, I believe it will go a long way to solve some of the crises in the country.
Okay. Now, before then, when you talk about the equity, fairness, and some other, things that you mentioned, they don't exist in isolation. One of the topics or one of the issue that the antagonists of zoning seem to be bringing to the fore is the issue about competence, that irrespective that Nigerians shouldn't be looking at where the president should come from. They should be looking at people who have the competence, the wherewithal, who have been tested, who have the competence to, bring into bear, solve all the problems that Nigeria is currently facing. Do you think that holds sway?
This your competence around. So are we saying that competence are only in the north? When you say the north are the economically educationally backward section, that means we now have the whole competence?
No, Mr. Obina, the north didn't say, though people made the statement about competence, so it's not okay. Coming from the north. Anyway,
what I'm saying effectively is that the issue of competence does not hold sway because we have abundance of competence in every geopolitical zone of the country. And any part that we agree that should produce the president, I believe we'll have the most competent people around that location to be able to to lead the country the way we are looking at today. We're talking about competence. We also thought that the current president is competent enough, but we can see where we are. So until we test someone, we might not be able to know the issue of the competence. But I believe that we have abundance of competent persons across geopolitical zones.
Okay, now let's go straight, narrow it down to Igbo presidency or an Igbo president come 2023, if it is feasible or not. When you look at the People's Democratic Party and the All Progressives Congress, who are the major political party and major contestants in the 2023 elections at the moment, do you foresee any tendency of a Southeasterner emerging as a presidential candidate of either party?
Well, let me correct that statement of talking about an Igbo president. No, it's talking about a president of an Igbo extraction, because whoever is going to come from that place will be a president of Nigeria. It is not. It's not going to be the president of the Igbo, so it's not an Igbo president.
Okay.
Now, speaking from what it is now. Well, the politics, I believe they are still consulting, they are still discussing. The politicians from the Southeast are lobbying their colleagues, because from what Dr. Joseph Carlos said, it is going to be a bit difficult to say that without that zoning arrangement, it might be a bit difficult to say we have an Igbo president of an Igbo extraction. But if we also look at it very well, assuming it is possible to have every Igbo person across the nation to vote for a particular person, that might also change the narrative. But from the political point of view, the setting there is looking at it to say that pendulum is not yet coming up, but until the last lap of the day, we might not be able to conclude. But the agitation has been very right that both parties or major parties should send their presidency to the Southeast. Whether they're going to do that is what I've not yet seen or otherwise.
All right. Now, let's still look at that. The distrusts. Let's assume an Igbo president is possible, or a president from an Igbo extraction from the southeastern part of the country is possible. There's been this distrust among Nigerians across geopolitical zones as well, that with the issue of the 30-month civil war that took place and the current agitation and restiveness in the southeastern part of the country calling for secession, is that not going to mar the chances of the Southeast producing the president?
When I hear that narrative, I seem to laugh, because it's just like saying that if power remains in the north, is it not going to make the whole country to become infested with Boko Haram, bandits, and insurgency? That statement does not try. We all know that those causing problem in the north are not supported by every northerner. So when we talk about the issue of agitation for Biafra, yeah, what really resonated some of these agitations is because of the sidelining of the political equation in the country. I believe that allowing an Igbo person to become a president will even be part of the healing that can even down the tension of the agitation. They may even listen, okay, that would be a ground to say, okay, if these people are now recognizing us, can we have a rethink about this agitation to live for our own? It will even be part of the healing process, because this war has taken place over about more than 60 years ago, and for how many years ago? 60 years now.
Yes.
For how many years ago now till now, and we are still seen as being fighting the war. So to heal, what resonated this agitation is because Nigerians, or those from those in political parties or powers, have always seen the Igbo or now recognize the place of the Igbo man in Nigeria. So because of that, it's okay, since you don't want us, let us live. And you are not allowing us to live. So not every one of us agree with the concept of living. But I believe strongly that the issue of agitation for Biafra would be reasonably reduced if an Igbo man become a president. And I don't see any Igbo man becoming a president to say, okay, give permission for secession. No, it won't happen. He's going to be a president of the entire nation. He'll be able to address the issues that the dictators of Biafra are talking about. I believe when that is done, the agitation will reasonably go down.
Okay, but if it is now that some people are, even some northerners are talking about power shift to the south, and they are not just talking about power shift to the southern part of the country, they are talking about the southeastern part of the country. Some politicians and political stakeholders who have a very heavy voice and that they are closest in the political arena in the southwestern part of the country as well are talking about the Southeast producing the president for 2023, including some big weights from the southern part of the country, equally talking about the Southeast to be given chance to govern and to remove the toga of marginalization. But we don't see the secessionist agitation or the restiveness from the southeastern part of the country. It doesn't seem to be abating. And don't you think it would be wise for those who are agitating, and if they feel that a president from the Igbo extraction in 2023 is possible, that this is the time for them to shift their sword and to have consultations across board? Why do we keep having uprising in that part of town?
Well, as I said earlier on, the uprising is circumstantial, it's situational. We have never had such a situation before. You all know what led to that. And I believe the government is addressing it. And I'm saying that we cannot say because there are uprising, and because of that, everyone and every person is no longer qualified to be a president. After all, there are uprisings also in the north, in fact, all parts of the north. So which area will we now say that is qualified? The country is involved with crisis everywhere. So that does not be, that shouldn't be a factor actually in determining where someone should come from. But talking about the issue of agitation, I'm saying that the agitation is an offshoot of neglect, an offshoot of lack of fairness and equity, fair play around the political equation. So I'm saying that to solve those crises, those agitations, part of it is to begin to recognize that these people also have the capacity, have the opportunity, can have the opportunity to rule the country. And that would be a healing process if that can happen. So it shouldn't be a factor at all as to how to determine whether or not an Igbo man can be a president. It has nothing to do with it. Those who are agitating for Biafra are not contesting for Igbo presidency, are not contesting for politics. They are not even part of the political thing. Political party. So there's no way someone who have believed or who is believing in one Nigeria will now suddenly come and divide Nigeria to create Biafra. I don't see that happening. Any of those people who are contesting for political positions, presidency, I've seen so far, they all talk about one Nigeria. Except if there's anybody among them who can say that this one is a pro-Biafra, then we cannot say, okay, if you give him power, he might go and cause secession or maybe divide the country. For such people, you can isolate them. But as far as I know, I don't think that is happening. All the people I have seen so far coming out are reasonable people. They believe in Nigeria. They believe in the progress of Nigeria. They believe in the success of our people. They believe in a system that works with equity and fair play. Okay, so any of them are eminently qualified. Even people from other geopolitical zones, you have said, South, West, is their political right, their constitutional right to contest. They are eminently qualified to do so also. But we are saying that for fairness and fair play, that it will not just be right to have somebody from South or Southwest again when they have had their turn. So they should also, support their brothers. If I to use the word of Dr. Otis Okalo, their brother from the Southeast, so that we'll have maintain a balance and there will be equity and fair play in every dispensation of things.
Okay. So, Obinna Okafor, before we call it a wrap this morning, let's consider a particular issue of discourse still within this jurisdiction. Now, who is the chairman of the Southeast socio-political group, once made a statement that pointed direction to a consensus candidate emerging from the southeastern part of the country. Now, let's briefly look at those who are contesting, that are coming out for the presidency or the presidential post from the southeastern part. We talk about Peter Obi. Peter Obi is there. We have Ojiuzo Kalu, Rocha Sokorocha, Anyim Pius Anyim, David Umahi from Ebonyi State. Emeka Nwajuba just picked up this form, the presidential form, ticket from the All Progressives Congress, and the current Minister of Labor, Employment and Productivity, Senator Chris Ngige, as well. Do we foresee a chance of a consensus candidate emerging from these names that are coming out from the southeastern part of the country?
Yeah, across party lines it might be difficult, but within the party, yes. At least I have seen from the PDP part of it. All of them, I saw them holding their hands together. I think about 4 of them, Mwabongwa and Peter B and this other guy now, that they say any of them that is can stand. So if they have agreed to that consensus, I expect also that APC should do the same. Ojiuzo Kalu, Umahi, Nwajuba, and any other one that coming up from that party, they should also have an agreement. Any of them can stand. So let the contest be between them, either from APC, PDP, ABGA, whatever party that is going to be. Any of them, I believe they can work out a contest among themselves. That could happen. As for whether it can happen across party, that it is difficult to achieve that because I do not see APC or PDP or SDP stepping down for the other party. But as to within the parties, they can do that and let the contest be among them. Whoever among them that win, I believe that they should be able to select the best among themselves, and even we will be able to vote for the best among the parties. Among the contestants or candidates that are presented by the parties. Okay,
Emeka Obinna Okafor, rather, I wanted to call you Emeka Nwajuba. Sorry about that. Obinna Okafor, public affairs commentator. Thank you for your time this morning.